So hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 11 of our F1 Manager save here on the channel. Now if you watched the real Grand Prix last weekend, Pierre Gasly got a podium. If we can recreate that on this episode, I'd be absolutely delighted with that. But let's have a look at what happened in Austria, refresh our minds. Max Verstappen did win the Grand Prix from Charles Leclerc. Carlos Sainz finishing in P3. Esteban Ocon had a little battle with Lewis Hamilton, but we did get two cars in the top 10 on very different strategies as well. So both cars did very well. That is about where we are at this moment, the fifth best team. We'll try to improve on that as we come into this weekend. But before we go into that, let's have a look at the standings. Constructors standings wise, Red Bull are 36 points in front of Ferrari at this moment in time. It's a battle between those two for the constructors. Then come Aston Martin in P3, Mercedes in P4, and we are in P5. I saw one of the comments about can we possibly get P4. I think it's going to be a tough ask, but maybe, just maybe, if this next set of upgrades really propel us, then we've got half a chance, if nothing else. Maybe it is time to start looking forward rather than back. Driver standings wise, Max Verstappen is leading the way by 40 points from Charles Leclerc. Carlos Sainz in P3. Checo Perez down in P4. Admittedly, probably only one or two races from overtaking the two Ferraris, but Christian Horner won't be too happy with that. Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly sharing the workload perfectly between them. 15 points apiece for both our guys. But Pierre Gasly this weekend is going to be taking some engine penalties. We are going to Silverstone this weekend, the British Grand Prix, 52 laps around here. Expect a strategy. You can do a two-stop, you can do a one-stop, depending on what you're feeling like. Car attributes-wise, top speed and low speed cornering, but high speed cornering is pretty crucial. We're pretty decent at that. But like I said, Pierre Gasly does have some grid penalties to take this weekend, so it may be a difficult weekend for him. But I'm going to get through practice now, and I'll see you in qualifying for the British Grand Prix.
Our weekend continues with qualifying, as the drivers fight it out for a strong grid position.
The high-speed corners at Silverstone are a great challenge for the cars and drivers. The technical Sector 1 rewards strong mechanical grip, while high-speed aerodynamic efficiency will come into play in the final two sectors.
As far as Carlos Sainz is concerned, Karun, how do you think he's doing?
They set a great lap in practice, so you can only imagine how good they're feeling going into qualifying. But the big question is, will they be able to keep this performance up?
Strap yourselves in. This is Formula One.
So this is it then, final laps in Q3. We do seem to have some pace this weekend. Pierre Gasly got into Q3, but he's starting from the back, so I didn't see any points in sending him out in this session. He looks like one of the only ones that's taking grid penalties. But Esteban Ocon on a fresh set of soft compound tyres for this final run crosses the line. Let's have a look what he does. Doesn't improve by, well, he does actually. 4 tenths is improved by. Not quite enough to catch Carlos Sainz, but we are in the mix this weekend with the Mercedes and the Ferraris. Whisper it tentatively, but Esteban Ocon's got a good chance starting P7, and I'm not writing off Pierre Gasly from the back of the grid. Let me know down in the comments where you think Pierre Gasly could possibly finish here, if managed correctly, which is the big variable. But it's going to be Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin on pole position for the British Grand Prix. To be fair, he did top Q1 and he did top Q3. Perez P2, Verstappen P3, 5th and 6th for the Ferraris. Maybe this circuit doesn't suit their car. Let's have a look at the strategy. So, strategy, guys. So, we're going to be doing the two-stop with both cars, but let me just run you through the thinking with Pierre in a second. Esteban Ocon, he's going to be on strategy A. We're going to start on the softs, go on to the mediums, and go on to the soft towards the end. May have an opportunity, if there's any safety cars around this period, to go on. The idea with Pierre Gasly has looked incredibly quick all weekend. It must be said, I reckon he could have possibly got P5 in qualifying. So I'm going to give him the soft compound tyres, let him go for hell for leather on them, strap on another set of soft compound, try and get the undercut on a few cars, and then blast onto the mediums towards the end. That's the plan with Pierre. Something a little bit more aggressive, but I think we can get away with it with Pierre. So let's see how he gets on. So 7th and 20th, two very different races to manage. Let's get to 5 red lights for the British Grand Prix.
The British Grand Prix is nearly upon us. The drivers composing themselves on the grid ahead of 52 laps around Silverstone. And plenty of people watching on will be keen to follow Fernando Alonso's progress.
They're 4th on the grid, so I'd expect to see them mount a challenge for the top 3 in this race.
Here we go. It's time to go racing. Hold on tight. It's the British Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go.
And away we go, and straight away we are telling Pierre Gasly to be very aggressive, and also Esteban Ocon, and we're also going to give him the battle assist as well. When we can get the chance to do that, give him the ERS battle assist. I want him making moves as quickly as possible early doors here, and he's already gained one position on Lando Norris. Lance Stroll has managed to carry on leading the way through turn 1, and Perez and Verstappen fighting a little bit. He's up to 4 tenths. He's on the medium compounder tyre, is Lance Stroll. If we have a look at the tyre selection, Perez on the softs, then comes Verstappen, Alonso, Leclerc and Sainz all on the mediums. Ocon on the soft compound tyre, battling with George Russell early doors here, but I reckon we can attack these Ferraris while on the quicker tyre. Magnussen in P9, but Pierre Gasly has got to get some work done early doors, and already losing the back of Lando Norris at this moment in time. Let's just have a look at the interval here. He's nearly lost a second to Lando Norris. I'm not quite sure what's gone on there, but Pierre Gasly looks slow, which is not ideal at all, as we see George Russell managing to get past Esteban Ocon early doors. Have we then once again peaked in qualifying? But early doors here, Lance Stroll leads away on lap 1. He's got 2 Red Bulls charging behind. And you know, the one team I am so sick of in this series is Haas. We cannot get rid of these Haas cars. Every episode we seem to be fighting with a bloody Haas. We don't see them in qualifying, but as soon as they get to the race on Sunday, they're a totally different beast, and they've managed to overtake Esteban Ocon, so difficult for him there. He's been aggressive, but not aggressive enough. Ocon down to P9, but Pierre Gasly now is on the back of Lando Norris, but look at the speed of that McLaren on the straights there. I think Pierre Gasly is going to warm into this race, and he'll start making moves in a little while. But at the moment, it's on lap 2. It's still Lance Stroll. He's not going to manage to break the DRS of those Red Bulls, and Checo Perez getting ever closer in that Red Bull. We'll have a look at this, actually. We'll ride on board. We'll go for helmet cam. As we go towards Maggots and Beckett's, will Checo Perez manage to make a move, looking left and right? I love these corners in real life, and on F123 they're a joy to drive if you get them right. Now, will Checo Perez manage to get an overtake here? He looks like he's got the speed in that Red Bull, but Lance Stroll defending and placing his car very, very well. But once the RS comes back, that's going to be an issue. But Esteban Ocon struggling to fire up his tyres early doors again. We're going to have to tell him to get on with it here. Pierre Gasly's not in as bad a position, but Esteban Ocon no way should be losing 1.3 seconds to Kevin Magnussen. And maybe Pierre Gasly is finally getting warmed up, because he's attacked Lando Norris and he's passed the McLaren in that sort of that right-hander that really opens itself up, and now he can start to attack the second McLaren, which is Oscar Piastri. So Pierre Gasly up into P18. Esteban Ocon got the hurry up in no uncertain terms and said get on with it. And he certainly has done. He's catching up to Magnussen. Gasly now attacking Piastri. And it didn't take him too long. Gasly attacking Oscar Piastri, gets the outside line, has got the better traction on those soft compound tyres, and he overtakes the 2 McLarens. So that's the McLarens dispatched. Next up, I believe it's an Alpha Tauri, and it's the Alpha Tauri of Yuki Tsunoda. And how long is it going to take for Pierre Gasly to get past him? Let's ride on board, as he's got DRS down this straight. I'm not convinced that Yuki Tsunoda has, and Pierre Gasly is starting to find that pace early doors into P16. Next up is Valtteri Bottas. We are going to get to see some overtakes today. Pierre Gasly doing a fantastic job, manages to keep it right, and now he's got Valtteri Bottas up next. Lap 5, and I've got to say I'm enjoying watching Pierre Gasly today. If you watched the last year's series on Aston Martin with Pierre Gasly, you'll know how much I enjoyed having him there. And he's making me have them same warm, fuzzy feelings again on the pit wall today, overtaking Valtteri Bottas, and now he's looking at Nick De Vries. And once he's past this guy, which I'm assuming he's going to make quite light work of, let's have a look at him here, Pierre. I haven't told him to use the RS or anything yet. He's just ploughing along lovely. We're going to get the undercut, get back out, and then start burning that ERS, and that's when we're looking to catch up to the front cars. Then we've got another undercut onto the mediums. We're trying both undercuts today with Pierre Gasly, and Pierre Gasly going to the outside. Nick De Vries is nothing but a sitting duck as Pierre Gasly round the outside Loving that. The fans here at Silverstone enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. Pierre Gasly up to P14. Esteban Ocon holding on to P9 at the moment. I'm a little bit disappointed he's not managed to make any progress on Kevin Magnussen. But Kevin Magnussen in that Haas causing a lot of problems and actually putting himself in the shop window for us. Maybe next year, as it's rumoured that possibly Renault may be taking it back from Alpine. We've got that little bit of a rumour for you here mid-season as well. So a lot happening going into next season. Will we change drivers? Who knows? We've got some young prospects as well that we're going to be looking at. All this work behind the scenes. But I'll bring you up to date with that as and when that happens. Esteban Ocon, it's 2 seconds now, Magnussen gap to Russell. I'd like him to get past him now. Perez is fighting with Lance Stroll, but Perez's tyres are going to be dying off quicker than Lance Stroll's, and Lance Stroll is sitting prettier because what this is doing, he's using the pace of the Red Bull to keep away from Max Verstappen. So it's actually a checkerboard of Red Bull and Aston Martins at the moment. The Ferraris don't seem to have the pace of the front four at this moment in time. Esteban Ocon getting frustrated, but this might be the time. He's taking different lines to try and get past K-Mag, and here he goes down the inside this time. Can Pierre Gasly make the move stick? It certainly looks like he's going to. He's got the inside line. Magnussen will have the inside line for the next corner. Will Magnussen defend this? It's wheel-to-wheel racing here. Round the outside goes Pierre Gasly. They are still wheel-to-wheel as we ride on board with Pierre Gasly. Magnussen's still to that inside, but now he's past him. And as he's doing that, Pierre Gasly moving up front again, overtaking Logan Sargeant. What can you say about Logan Sargeant as well? This last weekend just gone, gets into Q3, smashes his car up, and then smashes it up again in the race. Do you think Logan Sargeant's good enough for F1? Let me know down in the comments. But Pierre Gasly now has got 3.4 seconds to catch Lewis Hamilton, but Lewis Hamilton's getting held up by Alexander Albon a little bit, but he will be on the cusp of the top 10 if he gets going here. So Pierre Gasly now, it's all on him to try and catch up with these cars in front. Lap 6. And on lap 8, just a quick one, Esteban Ocon has got past Kevin Magnussen and he's now broken the DRS. So he's now saying ta-ra to Kevin Magnussen. P8 for Esteban. Perez still leading. Gasly closing up to Hamilton at a rate of knots. And he's pulled back 3 seconds within a couple of laps. And now he's on the back of this fight for P10. This will be for Pierre Gasly. And remember, he's going to be pitting in around 8 laps time onto those soft compound tyres again. And my God, on lap 9, I can't even get a break between these highlights. Pierre Gasly chucking it down the inside, of Lewis Hamilton, then making it stick round the outside. Now he's got a Haas to dispatch, but with the way Pierre Gasly is driving today, you would not bet against him. He will get past Nico Hülkenberg in no time, and I actually would expect that he might do it round this next straight. So he's got DRS, Nico Hülkenberg, as has Pierre Gasly. He's going to be right up the gearbox of him by the time he gets into this left-hander. Alexander Albon now is the man leading this train, and Pierre Gasly can just take his time, look after the tyres a little bit more, but we've got full ERS charge. As soon as we come out on to this new set of soft compound tyres, we are going to be going absolute hell for leather with Pierre Gasly and trying to make up this gap to possibly to where Esteban Ocon is. And that's how much with faith we've got in Pierre Gasly today. Once he warms them tyres up, he'll be absolutely cooking on gas. Let's just see if Pierre Gasly can get Nico Hülkenberg here as he looks to the left and to the right. It looks like he's going to try it down the inside here. Let's have a little look as Nico Hülkenberg stays to that outside. Pierre Gasly later on the brakes. He has got supreme confidence in this car. Pierre Gasly up to P11, and within 10 laps, Pierre Gasly is on the cusp of the point scoring positions. What a performance this is. We don't need to see it again because we saw it live. And if you're Alexander Albon, you're probably thinking, my God, how am I going to keep this Frenchman behind me? Because I can't see you doing it for too much longer. We'll follow it onto the next DRS straight, because then we've got Kevin Magnussen, who is, what, 2.7 seconds up the road. Would you bet against Pierre Gasly catching him before the pit stops? We certainly wouldn't, as we ride on board with the visor cam. Here comes Pierre Gasly down the inside of Alexander Albon. Fantastic work from him. Pierre Gasly Let's go. You join us back on lap 11. We can see Lance Stroll defending from Checo Perez, but Verstappen is well in this fight now as those medium compound tyres are starting to look the better than the softs. It's, as we have a little rundown as they cross the line, it's just about Stroll in P1, then comes Perez, Verstappen, Leclerc in P4, Alonso, then Sainz, Russell in P7, Ocon in P8. Ocon is slowly catching that Mercedes of George Russell, Magnussen in P9, and Pierre Gasly stalking in P10, lap 12. Right, this is going to be a busy time in the pit lane for the Alpine garage. Right, let's have a look. Both our cars are coming in. I'm hoping we've got enough time to get them both in and back out. So Esteban Ocon is in to the pits. Let's have a little look how this all plays out here. Please, please, please don't have a problem. I'm not quite sure how smooth that was. 3.6 seconds is not the best. Pierre Gasly 2.6 seconds, but I'm hoping that's going to get us both out in a bit of clean air. Let's have a look where Esteban Ocon comes out here. I need to get him out in front of Sargent. Ocon's out in the clear, and he's behind Hülkenberg. So that's it. Where's Pierre Gasly? He comes out behind Logan Sargent, but he's got Nick De Vries behind him. So that's not the end of the world from our two guys now. Both of them need to push on the tyres early in this stint, especially Pierre Gasly. Pierre Gasly has got to get on with this now. And Esteban Ocon pretty similarly as well. Both of them have been told to go for it now and get this undercut as quickly as possibly can. If we have a look in front of us, people who have pit, Hülkenberg, Albon, Hamilton yet to pit, as has Russell and Sainz. So this is big, big moments in terms of our race. Lap 16. Russell coming out of the pit lane. Where is Esteban Ocon? He's not in distance of him, and George Russell has just about come out in front of Esteban Ocon. He's on the soft compound tyres. Pierre Gasly absolutely belting along as well now. So Pierre Gasly is into P11. Still a few in front. Hamilton and Albon, namely, to pit. But Esteban Ocon right on the back of this Mercedes of George Russell on the cold tyres. It's just out of the pit lane. But Esteban Ocon can't quite get the move done. But it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for Esteban to just stick on the back of George Russell now. That would be ideal. Meanwhile, Pierre Gasly has just been told just to keep sottering along at this moment in time. 1:54.1 his last lap, and he's still got 3 seconds to catch up with Pierre Gasly. So it's all about Pierre Gasly now, just making as much back as he can on Hamilton and Albon. Lap 17, we're pretty happy where we are at this moment in time. The main one from the front, guys, that has pit is Checo Perez onto another set of soft compound tyres. And something that may help us out a little bit is Carlos Sainz having a little bit of a lock-up. Not quite managing to keep it on circuit, locking up there, and that's lost him a fair bit of time, that has Carlos Sainz. Yet to pit, remember. We may now jump Carlos Sainz. So something just to bear in mind as Pierre Gasly's battery is near enough done. But Pierre Gasly, as that happens, sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, a 1:31.6 for the Gasman. And sadly for Pierre Gasly, George Russell's responded. He's now just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and Esteban Ocon cannot keep pace with Russell. But remember, we will be on the better tyres with Esteban at the end. What we may do here is swap the cars and let Gasly use these tyres and hopefully let Esteban just latch onto him. That would be absolutely ideal if we could do that. Still in front of us, we've got a lot of cars who haven't pit, mainly on the medium compound tyres. I'm guessing they are all going to be on the one-stops. But this little DRS train they're in is sort of keeping the rest of us at bay. But Carlos Sainz is a little bit further back from that now. It's possible that Carlos Sainz, we may catch him, but P9 and 10 at the moment, we're not too upset. Lap 21, Esteban Ocon is in front of Carlos Sainz. So great work from him. Carlos Sainz has come out onto that soft compound tyre. Maybe he's doing a two-stop after all. And Pierre Gasly's thinking, I tell you what, sunshine, I'll have a bit of this. Because Carlos Sainz is going to have to defend against possibly one of the quickest drivers on the circuit today relative to his car. We've got a few cars behind us. I mean, gap to Hülkenberg. Gasly's pulled out 15 seconds, which is nice to see. But let's have a little look at this. Carlos Sainz will fancy himself against Esteban Ocon, but Pierre Gasly equally will fancy himself against Carlos Sainz. We've probably got the cars the wrong way around here in terms of strategy. But like I said towards the end, Esteban Ocon is going to be on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. don't write Esteban Ocon off yet from beating George Russell. Lewis Hamilton still yet to pit as well. Be interesting to see what tyres the British driver goes onto at his home Grand Prix, but Pierre Gasly is having to do everything he possibly can to keep up at the moment with Carlos Sainz. That Ferrari is particularly quick, and I can't see Esteban Ocon defending too strong against this. Let's have a little look from Pierre Gasly's point of view, because he's possibly got the best seat in the house at the moment as he's pushing along here, Pierre, just recharging a bit of his battery as well. As Ocon now is on the back of Lewis Hamilton. This may provide a little bit of a defence mechanism, because Esteban Ocon will get the DRS off the British driver. So once again, another little element comes into this. We might be fighting in the lower, sort of top of the midfield, but we're very much involved in this, and Esteban Ocon trying to get the toe off of Lewis Hamilton, and that defends beautifully from Carlos Sainz. We are just looking at Pierre Gasly thinking, could you get involved in this? Could you get on the back of this DRS train? That could be absolutely ideal if he can. Ocon's all over the back of Lewis Hamilton, and will he manage to make a move here into Cobbs? He's got the inside line. He keeps it down the inside. Lewis Hamilton, it's wheel-to-wheel racing here through Maggots and Beckett's. Will Esteban Ocon manage to keep this position? We are decent through the high-speed corners, and Esteban Ocon is going to get in front of Lewis Hamilton and get DRS. Fantastic work from him.
Awesome.
Pierre Gasly's got DRS as well, which is really helping out. This is going very, very well. Esteban Ocon up to P7, Hamilton down to 9th, and now Gasly will be the next man to attack Lewis Hamilton as he goes into the pits. Lewis Hamilton doing us a solid favour there. Verstappen still leads the Grand Prix, yet to pit. It was nice while it lasted, but Carlos Sainz has managed to overtake Esteban Ocon. We didn't get a replay of it, unfortunately, but Pierre Gasly's close up to Esteban now. There's going to be no team orders here. We will let them overtake as they want to. Hopefully use the DRS to get back in front of catch up, to Carlos Sainz. So we're pretty happy with this at the moment. 8th and 9th. Pierre Gasly's got to be absolutely ecstatic. And one thing we are looking at is this gap to Hulkenberg, because it could mean if we carry on at a decent pace that we could possibly pit again and not lose any positions. So this is sort of really, really big for us at this moment in time. Lap 25, the leader's just starting to filter in now. Hamilton, let's have a look at Lewis Hamilton. What did he go on to? He went on to the hard compounder tyre, so he's on the one stop. I would suggest, looking at this, that these two guys possibly will be as well. Let's keep an eye on Lance Stroll, who remembers being in the lead for quite a bit of this Grand Prix. He's onto the hard compound tyre, is Lance Stroll. Is it a decent pit stop? He's held, and Charles Leclerc jumps him in the pit lane. Lap 25. Lap 27, and these two Alpine drivers are making this work. Pierre Gasly's topping up his ERS, but all the while Esteban Ocon has got DRS, and he's just pulling him along, and we're catching up to the Mercedes of George Russell. Remember, he's on the soft compound tyres. Esteban Ocon will be on the softs towards the end. I would expect Esteban to possibly beat a Mercedes today as Verstappen sets a new fastest lap of the Grand Prix on a new set of hard compound tyres. But this is really, really interesting, and bear in mind now we've got a gap in which we can pit both cars and not lose position. So that's absolutely ideal. We're cemented in the top 10, but Pierre Gasly topping up that ERS. We're going to tell him now just to stop that for a little moment, because we are nearly in range of George Russell. What we don't actually want is Esteban Ocon overtaking, but we are not going to tell him to not fight his teammate. He is allowed. He has got the DRS. Will he go for the move here? Let's have a little look at this as Esteban Ocon goes past his teammate, back up into P8. This fighting's possibly not helping us here, but we've got to let them fight at some point. We've dropped a couple of tenths of a second there. Pierre Gasly managing to keep it through, and both guys are still fighting. I'm a little bit nervous watching this, it must be said, but Esteban Ocon up into P8, and now he can look to attack George Russell, and they are in the DRS range of the Mercedes. So what a moment that is. Esteban Ocon into the DRS range now of that Mercedes in front. That's going to help him defend from his teammate. And as we come round this corner, Ocon has got DRS on George Russell. So let's have a little look how this plays out. Both our guys absolutely fighting here. Not being told to really do anything different from me. I'm quite happy with how they're driving at the moment. But Pierre Gasly now can just latch onto the back of this, and we're going to tell Pierre just to keep topping up his ERS, because he's going to be in shortly for another little undercut. Lap 29. Esteban Ocon overtaking George Russell. He's got the DRS. George Russell hasn't. And I've got to say, I think Ocon is in a fantastic position for the rest of this race. And possibly so is Pierre Gasly. Esteban Ocon's going to be on the soft compound at the end. He could be absolutely flying. He's just topping up his ERS at the moment. Is Esteban Ocon as well. So great work from him. We've got a bit of fuel to use as well, which we're now going to start using for Pierre. Sorry, for Esteban. I've been watching them both simultaneously, trying to manage the race. It's been fantastic. I've thoroughly enjoyed this episode. And now Pierre Gasly is looking at the back of George Russell as well. Will Esteban manage to defend this? Let's have a little look. Esteban's got the better tyres now, you would argue. 61% mediums. He's certainly got the better tyres, but just topping up that ERS for the next sort of stint. But Pierre Gasly doing very well, 48%. Let's have a look. He should be in possibly, what are we looking at? Maybe next lap. Next lap for Pierre Gasly, lap 30. Here we go then. Gasly and Russell both into the pits, which means Esteban Ocon takes a quite comfortable P7 at this moment in time. Let's have a look what happens here. Gasly, we don't want any issues with pit stops. We're eagerly watching this pit stop. Gasly, 2.6 gets held, but he will filter out behind George Russell. And with the pace of Pierre Gasly today, that doesn't really concern me, because I reckon Pierre Gasly's got the beating of George Russell today. I really do, and I certainly reckon that Esteban Ocon is going to have the beating of him as well. So as we go on to neutral, no, we'll keep it on top up at the moment for Esteban Ocon. We are going on to the soft compound in a few laps' time. Albon's behind, that is, I believe. Let's have a look. Yeah, Albon's behind. So is Lewis Hamilton on the hard compounder tyre. But Gasly and Russell now, it's going to be a good scrap this between these two. We're going to tell him to deploy, tell him to attack on the tyres and push. We need to get these tyres up to temperature and get in that DRS range of George Russell. Join us back on circuit. Pierre Gasly, he's not having it all his own way. He's having to drive the wheels off this Alpine to try and keep up with that Mercedes, and I don't think he's quite managed to get DRS. Once again, he has, just about, but Esteban Ocon is in for his pit stop. I wanted to bring him in a little bit earlier, it must be said, because we were struggling. I didn't want the undercut to be that massive with George Russell, but Esteban Ocon is in, and we are praying for no issues here. It's absolutely vital that we have a good pit stop here for Pierre Gasly. 2.6 seconds, it's a good pit stop. Right, where is George Russell? George Russell's coming down the start-finish straight, as is Pierre Gasly, but Esteban Ocon is going to be quick towards the end of this race. Let's have a little look how this plays out. Russell and Gasly go in front, but Esteban Ocon comes out, but he's on the better tyre now, and I would expect him to start catching these guys up pretty quickly with this soft compound tyre. We're going to tell him to push. We don't want Hamilton in his clutches either, so we're going to tell him to deploy, and it's all on Esteban Ocon to catch Russell and Gasly. But I reckon Gasly might have an outside chance towards the end, lap 37. And you're showing us back, 10 laps to go, and Pierre Gasly has just been fighting with Esteban Ocon. We don't particularly want him fighting with Esteban Ocon, as he's now going to be told, do not fight your teammate for the strategy. He's on a different strategy to you, although he's not made it easy for Esteban. But Esteban is through on that soft compound tyre, and now they've got to work together. Now it's the point where Esteban Ocon has got to try and use these tyres to pull Gasly back up to George Russell, and possibly we may beat a Mercedes. But with 10 laps to go, Verstappen is leading the way on a hard compound tyres. Everyone, I believe, has made the pit stops now. So it's Leclerc in P2, Alonso and Stroll in P3 and 4. Leclerc's played a blinder, to be fair, being up there. Perez in P5, but he's on the medium compound tyre. He's going to be catching all the way towards the end. Don't write off Perez and possibly even Sainz. It's really all about if we can now catch George Russell. That's where we really need to be now. With 10 to go, it's on. Right then, lap 47, here we go. Esteban Ocon has been told to deploy on the ERS and get past George Russell. He certainly has done that, and Pierre Gasly's been told, you now need to deploy on the ERS, and you've got to stay near George Russell as well, because ideally now we want Esteban Ocon to absolutely bolt into the distance, and we want Pierre Gasly to attack as quick as he possibly can, get in front of George Russell and defend for his life. So this is it now. It's going to be very, very interesting to see if Ocon can actually drop George Russell. That would be in an ideal world. We're going to tell him to push, give it absolutely everything to get away from Georgie boy. It's 0.8 of a second as things stands, but let's just keep an eye on Pierre Gasly, who's also using ERS. And I reckon by the end of this lap, maybe, if Esteban Ocon's got anything left in the tank, he could possibly pull away from George Russell, and that is only going to make life easier for one man, and that one man is going to be his teammate, who's now right on the back of George Russell. This has been one hell of a Grand Prix, ladies and gentlemen, and Pierre Gasly straight away. George Russell is out of the DRS range, and Pierre Gasly is now all over the back of George Russell. Let's have a look how this works out here, because we're going to ride on board with Pierre Gasly. Verstappen's still leading by nearly 10 seconds to Charles Leclerc, but it's all about this P7 and it's all about P8 now, because Pierre Gasly, little bit of a twitch there, but he's going to get DRS. George Russell isn't, and Pierre Gasly is past George Russell. It's P7 and P8 for the Alpines. What a performance this has been from Pierre Gasly. I don't think he's going to quite manage to break away as Esteban Ocon did, but he can certainly have a good battle now with George Russell, and he is going to be told to always defend, be active, be attacking, and go for it now. Probably, what, 3 or 4 laps to go. Gasly's in P8, Ocon's in P7. This is it then, ladies and gentlemen. Last lap of the Grand Prix. Esteban Ocon looks like he's got P7 secured, but it all comes down to Pierre Gasly against George Russell down this next couple of straights. Last lap, he's going to get 2 DRS zones, is George Russell, to attack the Alpine of Pierre Gasly. We're pushing on the fuel, and we are going to tell him now to deploy ERS. He's defending aggressively anyway. We will ride on board with George Russell. He's already down the straight, is Pierre Gasly. He wants this today. Pierre Gasly, remember, starting in last place, and he's currently running in P8. This would possibly be our best performance of the season so far. He's pushing on the fuel, he's defending, he's backing George up a little bit, and we are decent through the high-speed corners. I don't want him to use all his ERS just yet, because he's got one more zone to defend through. Fuel is looking a little bit on the balance as well. Max Verstappen wins from Charles Leclerc. We'll see all that later on, but we're still riding on board with George Russell, who doesn't quite look like he's got the pace to attack Pierre Gasly. But this is it. Gasly doesn't get the best exit there. He's been told to deploy, and George Russell is looking to attack the Frenchman. Will he manage to get a move done here? George Russell doesn't look like he's quite going to do it. Pierre Gasly into the last couple of corners. He's got that Mercedes all over the back of him. Is George Russell going to chuck one down the inside? He isn't. And Pierre Gasly is going to come around the final corner from P20 to P8. What a performance. And Esteban Ocon gets P7 too. Thank you very much. Let's go.
Yuki Tsunoda makes his way back after the events of that race. Well, Max Verstappen can add yet another podium to his already impressive record.
It almost feels like it doesn't need saying after a 7th win, but another stunning performance today.
Well, we might be in Britain, but our podium finishers won't be celebrating with a cup of tea tonight. They'll be staying true to Formula One tradition.
Give it another season, ladies and gentlemen, and that may just be us, because that has got to give us supreme confidence moving forward. Max Verstappen wins, Charles Leclerc P2, Lance Stroll P3. He'll be disappointed to lose that by 10 seconds when he were leading early doors. Alonso P4. It's a good day for Aston Martin in the constructors. Checo Perez P5. Not keeping up with his teammate. Can't say this game ain't true to life. Ocon P7, Gasly P8, and then come the 2 Mercedes. Alpine beat the Mercs, and we absolutely love it. Both drivers, different parts of the Grand Prix, absolutely supreme. Fastest lap goes to Carlos Sainz. We did have that as well at one point. Driver standings wise, Max Verstappen extends his lead. It's 47 points, so Charles Leclerc now. Carlos Sainz loses ground to both people in front of him and behind him. Checo Perez now only 3 points behind Carlos Sainz. Esteban Ocon on to 21 points. Pierre Gasly on to 19, which even I can tell you means we move on to 40 points and we close the gap on Mercedes. Yes, it's still 86 points, but who knows? With that type of driving, I think we can do something. Red Bull, or whatever that is, 44 points in front of Ferrari. So there's a battle for fourth, possibly. There's definitely a battle for both championships. It's going to be a cracking end to the season. Thank you so much for watching that. Enjoy the F1 this weekend, and I'll see you on Tuesday for the next episode. Ta-ra!